Ghost on the Prepared Mind channel. I'm coming at you early morning. Welcome to your new week. I've been doing lots of thinking. Yeah, a lot of thinking. It's kind of what I do, kind of what you do. I've been talking a lot over the last probably 2 years now about finance and economics and monetary policy, because it is interconnected to the shit it's the fan event that's coming. You know, learning more and more about all the ins and outs and why it's working isn't because I love economics for economics' sake, but rather I want to understand what's going down, right? Why it's coming down. And money is tied to it. Now, an interesting concept that people don't talk about anymore is the value of freedom. The value of freedom. You know, in the Labor Day video I just did, I talked about how when people were free, their labor, it meant more. You could feel the value of your labor, its purpose, the results of having it, right? The benefit of having it. Uh-oh, got a big bump coming here. Ah! Try not to tumble the phone today. Anyways, the value of labor, the value of you, right? The value of you and me. Freedom used to be what was valued more than anything else. Now, you need money to buy things. You can't buy things, food, with money, but you can with money. You can, or sorry, rather freedom. With freedom, you can make more money because it's an extension. It's an extension of who you are and what your capacity is, your potential, earning potential is. So as they've made this switch, and it goes all the way back to the crash of 1929 that was followed up by the state of national economic emergency declared by FDR, followed by the devaluation of gold and the exchange stabilization fund being created, and then World War II, and then everything that's cascaded since then that's taken our freedom. As our freedoms have eroded, money has become a greater issue to us, our wealth. And when I was young, a young man just out of the Marine Corps, I was talking to a friend and he said, John, you can't get your freedom back. And this was just his opinion. You can't get your freedom back very easily, but what you can do is protect yourself, insulate yourself, and you can do that with money. And it's true. I had to accept that, you know, and work with it. So here we are with money. Money is super important, right? So for people who are preppers, that's you and me, people who are preppers, what do? We store our wealth. Not money, but our wealth. We store it. And our wealth comes from our labors. And we store it in food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, our self-defense, right? We invest ourselves in our plans, in our understanding. That's what we're doing, is we're investing ourselves. What I've been noticing, and a very interesting, it's not a turn of events, I'm just noticing events. There is a complete team. Maybe it's not complete. There is a skewed and biased team behind me that's providing me with a great deal of information. And I wonder, you know, am I being steered or am I being given information and my thoughts are steering me? But that steering is that we're going to switch economic systems. Right? There's a lot of people talking about it. And it does relate to the monetary crisis and the funding, the debt crisis that our nation has. That's what the talk is about. Now, just to try and lay out, what do I mean by, what do I mean when I say, am I being steered? I really enjoyed the X22 report with Dave. And one half of his show is national, and the other half of his show is geopolitical. Well, Dave, in my opinion, and many others have gotten lazy, and they're relying on Q to provide them information for which they can talk about right, and share. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're so busy chasing the carrots, chasing the breadcrumb that's being left by this Q individual group organization, you're not going to have as much time to look at the things that you otherwise would. Dave would fill up half an hour every day without Q. Now his entire half an hour is 90% plus all Q. He's not looking around other places, right? And I don't, maybe using the term lazy isn't a good idea, but he's definitely focusing his energy and thoughts where someone else wants him to look. So I have a dissociated panel that independently brings me different angles. And so I'm not being led, right? So what my angles, having brought their information to me, what I've done with it is I've decided, right, that there is a huge component to the monetary system, right? We could have a terror event that causes shit to hit the fan, and the economic turmoil that follows it would be phenomenally bad. Or we could have an economic crisis that causes, for lack of a better word, terror. Because either terror cells will attack during times of weakness, or terror cells, right, that we don't normally think of as terror will attack. That would be your Antifa types, your Black Lives Matter types, your rabble-rousers, the Communist Party. They would go on a rampage. The Democrats even, just the plain old Democrats, they would come after America wholesale to punish America for Trump and for not being communist. So if we had an economic crisis, they would blame Trump. They would blame you. We would have chaos, blood in the streets, shit hitting the fan. So I've been thinking, you know, for months and months, I've been watching this develop. This economic angle develop. And the recommendation is to have all your preps taken care of. And if you've got anything left, wealth-wise, you know, money-wise, you should protect it. Looking into real, you know, real value, real wealth, real development. A lot of people just, you know, bullets. Bullets is a great one, right? That's precious metal if I ever saw any. And then there's regular precious metal like gold and silver. Anyways, why? You know, and I don't want to get into the history of, because I think we've all probably heard enough about the history of money and where it started and why. But when it happens, when the problem finally happens, the chickens come home to roost, what is going on? You know, what are the signs that something's happening? And, you know, how is it going to shake out? Well, of course, you know, I'm always looking for the atomic bomb mushroom cloud on the horizon. You know, and the reason I look for that, not because it's funny, but the reason I look for that is because it's going to be so obvious nobody can miss it. Right? Nobody can miss it. Now, that said, in 2008, an atomic bomb went off, but it went off underground. An economic atomic bomb. So everyone heard and felt the rumbling. Right? They did. Everyone heard it, everyone felt it, everyone knew it, but they didn't see it. It didn't cause chaos. People didn't believe that they were going to die of economic radiation poisoning because they were told everything's okay. Nothing wrong here. These weren't the banks you're looking for, right? So that's what happened. Hank Paulson stepped onto the floor of Congress and said, if you don't give us all that TARP money, we're going to need about $800 billion. And I'm sure they got at least double that, but let's just say publicly they got. There's going to be martial law. There will be blood in the streets. That was a threat. And it was fucking explicit. Explicit threat. But for the most part, America didn't want to see it. They felt it, as I said, like you would an earthquake. Everything got shaken up. Their 401ks, you know, looked like a disaster area. My parents had to go back to work and no retirement for them. Everyone was affected. But it just shook the living shit out of them. But they didn't see it. It wasn't so evident that everyone would panic. Now, if there's an economic atomic bomb where everyone sees it, feels the heat. Well, this is such a great analogy. Feels the heat. Right? And they get radiation burn from it. And they see the mass chaos. And they see the panic from everyone else. Real panic. Sheer panic. People running left and right. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. If they see that, it's gonna make the problem worse. If you follow my meaning, it will exacerbate the negative results of a shit it's the fan event if we have economic chaos to that degree, right? You can't get your money out of the bank. You're told you're not going to get it. People are fighting. People are shooting each other over money and the ability to buy things. There's problems at the stores. There's problems with the delivery lines. You know, we've discussed all that, but there's that economic side to it. If, and this is what I'm expecting because of the quietness of the super wealthy buying gold. They're quietly buying real estate in faraway places so they can go protect themselves while some changeover goes on. And there has to be some amount of chaos. People have to understand that there's a new system, a new sheriff in town running things. But they're quietly buying real estate and building bunkers, and they're quietly consuming gold. And we get reports out of different people who claim to be brokers for the wealthy and buying their gold. Rob Kirby is one, and there are several other who have appeared on YouTube and said, that's just what they do. They buy gold. They're gold brokers on a, I don't want to use the term industrial scale, but how about an uber wealthy scale? It doesn't mean you and I can't buy gold or silver or coins. You know, that's not where those people shop. Right? You're not going to go to a Ford dealer and find a Bentley on the parking lot. Anyway, so these folks, they're buying gold. See, they need 6 months of food and water, or a year. They've got 5. If they're told they need 2 years, they've got 10. And it doesn't cost them anything relative to their total wealth. It's important to note that. You and I, maybe a lot of us, man, a year's worth of food is a lot of money. It's a big percentage of our accumulated wealth, our value. To the super wealthy, what is $20,000 per person in their group of 20 people? That's nothing compared to their millions and billions of dollars. And they're not getting the cheap stuff like we get. I'm sure they're getting grade A, super tasty, freeze-dried, pre-done meals, and they got everything. And I'm not begrudging them that. I'm just saying they've got that covered. So what is left of their wealth, the other 99% of their wealth, it's going to go into preserving their wealth. So they're slowly cashing out on Wall Street as much as they can. Zuckerberg took out how many billions and billions and billions of dollars of his own by selling Facebook? What do you think he did with that? What do you think he's doing with that place in Hawaii? Right? He's probably got a hell of an underground bunker system there, or an above ground bunker system where he's going to hide out. But this system, when they switch over, do you think the wealthy want to see mass chaos and burning? Buildings, roads, highways, everyone being killed? I would say a great percentage of them really don't. They like what they've got going. They like being in charge and having all that money and power, influence. Because that's, without freedom, that's how they protect themselves. Right? The poor man, he needs freedom to enjoy life. Freedom from restraint, freedom from being fucked with, freedom to make money if he wants. Right? We enjoy that freedom a lot more than wealthy people do. Wealthy people, their money gives them a great amount of freedom and latitude. And they do need their freedoms, but not the way we do. Not for some semblance of a good quality of life. So these people that I'm talking about, the wealthy that have lots of money and they're buying gold very quietly. And the wealthy are pulling their money out of the stock market very quietly, while the secret dark money is being used by the Federal Reserve and the Treasury and basically the quasi-government institutions having to do with finance and monetary policy and issues. They're quietly buying up everything in the stock market, holding it up. This is what I've detected. They're holding it up. We don't know how much money they have, and they never fucking tell us because it's secret. It's an economic national secret. But that's what they're doing. They're keeping the price of gold, they're keeping the price of silver low because they always do look out for their buddies, evil or not. Evil or not, they're going to look out for each other. They're going to help each other. They're going to talk to each other quietly. And we get pieces and parts of that trickling out. The rich are buying gold. The rich are buying silver. But what I'm saying is, I don't think they want that fucking mushroom cloud. I don't think they want it. I think that they want as smooth a transition as possible from this current system to the next. They don't want fucking chaos in the street. They don't want people taking their US dollars and burning them to stay warm because it's winter and they can't buy anything because of hyperinflation, or the fact that people have just lost belief in the dollar so much that they go right to a bartering system and there's just chaos. They don't really want that. I'm sure Hillary wouldn't mind it, so she could punish us little peasants. But I think they want as smooth a transition as possible. And that means they're going to have a new system ready to go. What the fuck? There's someone coming down the road in my lane. That is just fucking dandy. There you go, lady, over there. There you go. Wow. Okay. So they're going to have a system in place, and they already do. Right? There are alternatives to the US dollar system, the SWIFT system. There's alternatives to the US dollar, the petro yuan. They're creating alternative finance and economic systems. Germany's working with Russia more. All of these things are happening. Maybe not in total collusion, but at least in a quiet concert with one another. And what I mean by that is, all these seemingly independent activities going on internationally also seem to coordinate with each other. That coordination is, if not the abandonment, the change to a new system for the United States, for the world, and away from the US dollar hegemony. It's coming. But they want to be quiet about it. Does that mean there's going to be new currency in the US that looks totally different? So different that it can't be mistaken for the old dollars, right? We're going to go to the new dollar, right? And it's going to need to be backed by something other than someone's word that they're not going to do what they just got done doing, which is stealing, using the most nefarious means and techniques to create wealth, like drug dealing on a scale to supply the world, which is done by the secret services from around the world, but largely the CIA. And that came from the East India Trading Company, Universal Exports, whatever you want to call them, out of England. They've been doing that for centuries, getting people hooked on drugs to control them and then finance themselves, enrich themselves off the back of the poor who take those drugs. That system's going to this day. So we need real money, right? There's so many trillions of dollars out there that have literally been printed that are sitting on pallets, and they show these drug busts from time to time. These are non-government entity drug runners who end up getting caught, and they have pallets of $100 bills just stacked. They can't spend it fast enough, and they hold it in their reserve. Well, if they switch to another system, guess what? Those no longer count. They're no longer good. The currency has been reissued, but they want to do it in a quiet fashion so that there's a smoother transition, less chaos, less loss of business and infrastructure. I know that's, or I think that's what they're trying to do. That's what I think. And there's a damn good reason for it. I think they're doing it. Oh, man. I think they're doing it that way because they do want to preserve their wealth. They do want a viable system. They want a viable system in place that they can work on immediately. And that's what I'm really detecting out there. I'm really detecting this quiet transition. You can hear about it. You can catch pieces of it. You can see activity being done. And they're going to do this switch over, this changeover. And again, we could have a real mushroom cloud on the horizon. Real chaos, real bombs, real terror. But this economic reset has to occur. Or the economic reset is going to have to occur. At some point, they're going to pull the pin and say, fuck it, we're going to get rid of that old system and then do a gradual, not too slow, I don't think they can do it too slow, but a changeover in the system. They're going to need to do it as quickly as last time. You know, Bernanke said, there's no problem, everything's contained, not a big deal. And then within a matter of months, it was a big fucking deal going on. They are telling us right now, everything's great. Look at the economy. Everything's fine. Meanwhile, we look behind the scenes and we see that it's not. And at some point, they're going to say, yep, we have great problems. Something went wrong. Everyone's going to blame everyone else. No one's going to know. They're going to take their partisan side. And I'm looking at it going, they all knew it. Everyone with money and wealth and power knows why the system's failing, what went wrong, and they just don't care. They're going to steal all they can. And those that are wealthy and earned it or inherited it, they're going to do the best they can as well to insulate themselves. And that's why we're seeing, I think, those little clues and hints coming out. Clues and hints. And that's why I see the gold and silver issue being so valuable as far as an indicator that they're keeping the price down. It's being suppressed, quietly suppressed, when everybody should be screaming and shouting at all of the manipulation. The wealthy should be screaming and shouting at the manipulation in the stock market, but they're not. Everyone thinks that because it's up, it's fine, so they're quiet. It's up, everyone's happy, they think they're rich, so they're being quiet. No panic. Right? But the crash is coming on the stock market. The crash is coming, so get ready, you guys. You have a great week. Keep your eye open. See what you think. This is just my theory. It's just a theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a factual theory. It's based on facts I've gathered, and I've weighted and valued to varying degrees. You guys probably have a lot of the same thing going in your heads. So, leave your comments. Thank you very much for supporting us. Chance favors, the prepared mind is yours. Woo! What a day.